Welcome to the Verdin Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin. We're back in the studio. Went to Las Vegas. Took a little bit back, getting back. Took a little bit on the roads. A little bit of a trek, if you will. We got some news for you today. Some good, some bad. I'm sure y'all know by now. John Emery Jr. ruled out for the rest of the season. First things first, before we do anything in the stream, before I give you a preview, before I get to your questions, anything, I just want to say prayers up for John Emery Jr. straight up. I mean, it's heartbreaking. He had a phenomenal game in week one. Coach Kelly said yesterday that you're going to continue to see him get better. You're going to continue to see him improve from that injury. And just nobody saw this coming. It's one of those things that just wrenches the heartstrings. And like I said, prayers up to John Emery Jr. and his family. I hope somehow, some way he can recover, get into a situation where he can continue to play football. I mean, I know he's got a lot of injuries and he had a lot of injury history, but I'm not going to stop believing in my guy. So John Emery, hope things work out for you, man. But without, further ado, let's get into a little bit of a preview. We'll talk about the running back depth and just the overall injury report as a whole. I'll kind of talk to you about the wide receiver depth a little bit too, heading into Nichols. Talk a little bit about who's the backup quarterback, and we'll give you a little bit of a brief preview. So, first things first, when you see a star like this go down, especially somebody that was leading the game, carrying the torch, being the team boss, if you will. I mean, he was carrying us in that second half. Especially when, I mean, everyone's confused on the play calling. Everyone's confused on the conservativeness. Why was the ball not in the air? Why was, Kyron Lacy not getting any touches? What happened? Well, the only real big bright spot in that offense was John Emery. He had a lot of big explosive runs, and it's going to be tough to lose him. And everybody knows the philosophy in football, the saying, as cliche as it might sound, next man up. Who's the next man up? Yeah, you got Josh Williams. Yeah, you got Caleb Jackson, but you're going to need to add a little more depth. So naturally, I'm sure Caden Durham is going to see some reps. He's been seeing a lot of good touches in fall camp. So I'm imagining that, they were kind of prepping him just in case John Emery wasn't going to be 100% from the initial ACL injury. This was 100% unforeseen. Now it makes me wonder a little bit, John Emery, I'm sure, did his part with the conditioning, did his part with getting back to speed. You heard Coach Kelly kind of mention a little bit how he would want him to get a little more conditioned in the lower half and how at times that was kind of preventing him from breaking away. And now I'm going to wonder with the Caleb Jackson situation. He added 35 pounds of muscle. Caleb Jackson's getting bigger, getting stronger. Do you maybe slim him down? Do you maybe kind of pull back a little bit on him and try to preserve that health? I'm not saying Caleb Jackson looked bad on Sunday against USC, but he didn't look great. He didn't hit his potential, and it's not saying anything about Caleb Jackson. It's not taking, anything away from him. It's not saying he's not a great player, this, that, the other. He's a phenomenal athlete, and I'm sure he'll hit his potential by the end of the season. That's not going to change. What has to change, though, is just that scheme, the way they're running. I don't know, maybe be more balanced. Maybe not just continuously short game, short field. Maybe push something deep. Maybe use the gunslinger of Garrett Nussmeier. We talked a little bit in studio before we flew out about, are they going to test him? Are they going to, let Garrett Nussmeier play his speed? Are they going to let him, let one eat every now and then? We kind of heard the bully ball rumors, and we thought the offensive line was going to play a lot better than what they did. But all in all, I mean, it's one of those situations where you just got to live and learn. Week one's over. Week two's on the horizon. You can't keep beating the dead horse. Nichols is coming in. They won their conference. Sure, they're, a smaller school and they're not going to be as competitive. But at the end of the day, you just can't sleep on them. You're going to have to really try to flex some muscle and iron out those kinks. And, God bless. But if you drop a 60 ball on them, it's going to make everybody in Louisiana feel better, regardless of if you're from Thibodeau, Homa, whatever. I mean, a lot of Nichols fans are probably going to be rooting for LSU in this one, quite frankly. Injury report real quick. Some unfortunate news also for our guy, Princeton Malbrew, friend of the show. Shout out Princeton. He's got a little bit of a banged up knee injury. Coach Kelly talked about how they're going to send in that footage, that little clip from the kickoff where the injury occurred, because he was saying it looked like a block in the back. It looked like kind of an egregious play, he said. So, I mean, we're going to keep monitoring that as well. But it might be kind of a similar note to John Emery for Princeton, where he might not play the rest of the year. It's a major knee injury. It's a major, major thing to get banged up on. They said that they x-rayed it a little bit. What they've seen doesn't look good. And going forward, I would imagine his role will be very, very limited. Kyle Parker is another player that is banged up and questionable. He's not necessarily out like Princeton Mauru will be, but he'll be monitored. Coach Kelly said he has a UCL injury, and they're going to just keep trying to make sure that he's getting back into the speed of things. Jordan Gilbert, now I know he's going to miss the first half regardless of if he's healthy or not because of the targeting call, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But he's dealing with a little bit of tenderness. I don't know if it's a hamstring or exactly what is his issue, but you've got a couple of pieces here where you're really going to have to worry. Kyle Parker stepped in for Chris Hilton. Chris Hilton's still going to be questionable. They're not going to really want to throw Kyle or Chris out until they're 100% ready because you're at this part of the schedule where you can breathe, you can relax. I mean, we wanted to win week 1, but these next, I'd say 4 weeks, you've got Nichols, you've got South Carolina, UCLA, South Alabama. Now, I'm not trying to sleep on anybody, and I'm not trying to turn into a timeless clip, but it looks like LSU can coast to a 4-1 record. We thought they were going to start 5-0. I know. But you're at the point now where you don't really have to put all chips in. Yeah, you want to perform well. Yeah, you want to try to get back to speed, but you don't want to risk losing a key player toward the end of the year when it really, really matters. When you're playing Ole Miss, when you're playing Alabama, when you're playing Texas A&M. For right now, I'd imagine they'll lean on guys like a Shelton Sampson against Nichols, Xavier Thomas, Aaron Anderson had a hell of a game, so I'd imagine he's going to get an increased role and increased playing time. So with that being said, it's going to be it's in due time really for Shelton Sampson to get his reps. He's a 5-star. He was really sought out for after high school. And we haven't really seen him get into his role. We haven't really seen him get into that spot that we thought he would be capable of. We haven't really seen him hit his potential, and Coach Kelly's kind of saying it's time to really put him in that situation and see what he's made of. It's time to put him in that situation and see, if he's going to be capable of being leaned on in this situation when guys are banged up and when they need some depth. Now, depth as far as the quarterback position, I'm really confused on what they're going to do for Nichols because more than likely, knock on wood, I mean, geez, I don't want to jinx nothing, but more than likely you'll see a pretty big blowout, and more than likely the starters will probably come out and the backups will come in. So you're going to get your real first glimpse at who the backup quarterback will be. It's kind of a toss-up. You really don't know who it is. They've been in a battle. It's been hush-hush, and nobody really knows. Wouldn't be surprised if they throw, an A.J. Swan out there. But there is a good chance for Ricky Collins to be here as well because of the amount of time he's been in this scheme with these coaches around these players. They both have a pretty good case. They both have a pretty good argument you can make for either one of them. Like I said, though, I wouldn't be surprised to see A.J. Swan be the guy. Just simply because, and this is just speculation, there's nothing really behind it other than he probably fits the mold that the offense is currently in. It'd be a little more difficult to put a mobile quarterback is a little younger, a little more green into this spot and expect immediate production comparatively to someone like A.J. Swan, who's played SEC ball, who's more of a pocket passer, who resembles Garrett Nussmeier more, if you will. I feel like that's kind of important. And now in this situation, you might see both of them play. You might even see Colin Hurley touch the field. But it'll be really, really interesting to see where LSU is at in this point of just deciding their depth, deciding their quarterback position, and trying to really feel this out, so to speak. Lastly, real quick before we go into a little interesting recap, I want to recap a segment from Friday's show, and I want to just explicitly announce, if you're not watching Friday's shows, you got to start tuning in, you got to start tapping in, because we went 3 for 3 on picks. I'm about to bang the damn gavel. The verdict was in, bro. We had 3 solid picks for you on our top 3 games of the week. They all hit. If you parlayed them, you were rolling in dough. You got Notre Dame playing a damn good game. Georgia walked all over Clemson, and Miami had a day. Such a day that I think Cam Ward, quite frankly, might be a Heisman finalist. Now, it might be an overreaction, but we might roll the tape back in a few months. Phenomenal performance. He's really mobile. He looks like one of those type of quarterbacks that you could rely on in a big moment, regardless of who's around him. And then Mario Cristobal, I mean, yeah, he's had questionable decisions as a coach, but right now, getting Cam Ward on that team and in this situation is probably one of his most sound decisions as of late. We'll be monitoring our top 3 games of the week. I'm going to start diving in. I'm going to start looking, and on Friday, we'll give you some more picks, some more locks, if you will. You heard it here first. Verdin Verdict, top 3 games of the week coming Friday, every Friday this season. With the week 1 scheduling conversation revolving around LSU and how they just haven't had luck in week one recently. I mean, it's not even recent. It's the last 5 years. Every single year I've been at school at LSU, we've lost. I'm a senior. My freshman year, we lost to UCLA. Last 2 years, we lost to Florida State. And here we go in the final, the last dance, if you will. We lose to oh Lord, I hope we don't lose to Clemson. We lose to USC. We do play Clemson. 2 years from now, it's a home and home swap. We're going to go to Clemson first, and they come to us. Probably not getting out of that one. I'm not going to lie. I don't think that at this point you can just flip a non-conference opponent like that. Who are you going to replace them with? How are you going to play a Power 4 non-conference? And put them into the schedule, you're still going to have to find a tough team. So at this point, the writing on the wall is a week 0 game, or you just knuckle down, hope that you win the opener. And if not, you just got to keep using this as fuel to the fire. I mean, I don't know how many times I have to say this. It hurts. I mean, look, I didn't want to lose. I didn't want to walk into Las Vegas and get my heart stomped, shattered, smushed, whatever you want to say. I didn't want that to happen. I'm sure nobody wanted that to happen. But the fact that it did, it's not the end of the world. It's not going to be one of those situations where LSU season is all but over. And we tried to kind of pump the brakes a little bit before the game even started just because, we're worried about it. But all in all, I think LSU's in a situation where if they play their cards right, if they do go on this 4-game bender and they're 4-1, get the bye week, go back home, play Ole Miss, and Lane Kiffin and Brian Kelly have been going back and forth, whether it be social media, press conference jabs. There's some animosity in this game. If you can beat a top 10 Ole Miss team or whatever they're going to be ranked whenever they come into Tiger Stadium on October 12th, you're in a situation now where the college football playoff is yours for the taking once again. Yeah, it looks rough, and it looks like we're on thin ice, and it looks like we might not have a clear path right now. But you shape this thing right. You go into the bye week, you hold your head high, you have some confidence, you go into Tiger Stadium, you beat Ole Miss, you get your spoon back from last season, and then now you got some juice. Now you got some respect, if you will. And also another thing that's going to really help LSU, and I feel like I could see this happening. It's going to be kind of something similar to what Florida State did last season. They went undefeated. They looked really good. Jordan Travis had a good year. I'm pretty sure they won their conference championship. 99% sure. I think they did. They did get snubbed out of the CFP, but that's besides the point. It made LSU's opening week loss a little more tolerable. And I know, like I said, everyone wants to start 1-0. I'm not trying to make excuses, and I'm not trying to really just make it seem like something it isn't. But what I'm saying is, that at this point, if USC runs the Big Ten table, goes to a conference championship, or is in the playoff, it makes it look like 2 playoff caliber teams battled it out in week 1. It happening at the beginning of the year, it feels like it's just earth-shattering, and it's going to ruin everything, and it's just like, oh man, we're back at square one. But it's really not potentially the case. I mean, yeah, in year 1 with Brian Kelly, Florida State beat him again, and they do somehow, some way find their way in Atlanta for the SEC championship game. Just give them an opportunity like that again, and I find it really, really hard that this team doesn't seize that moment. The defense has turned over a new leaf. They looked really good, held the Lincoln Riley offense to 10 points in the first half. Did they bend? Did they have bad moments? Of course. Both sides did. Both sides did. There was penalties. There was a lot of moments that you wish you had back. You had a couple of potential turnovers that you could have held on to. But you had some studs ball out. I mean, I feel like Harold Perkins did pretty good, led the team in tackles. Everyone's going to question about the inside, playing this, playing that. I think he did pretty well. Sure, Miller Moss had a hell of a game, and shout out to him because he's looking like a top 10 quarterback in college football. Threw for almost 400. And I mean, yeah, he had a couple of risky passes, but he also had a great supporting cast. And everyone was, including me, I'm everyone. Everyone was doubting USC. Everyone was wondering if USC is up to speed. And I'll be the first one to tell you, most of the doubters, myself included, were wrong. USC is a team that could potentially be in the college football playoff, potentially make some noise, and they look really physical. They look ready to play championship level football. And there's not really many questions on that team. They needed to address the defensive concerns. The offense has always been really good under Lincoln Riley. That's not the worry. The worry was, can this defensive turnaround happen instantaneously? And it did, right in front of our eyes. We've seen, a 4th and 3 stop. We saw a couple of I think we went 3 times inside the 15, only scored 6 points. That's a defense that anybody would love to have. I mean, you're playing LSU with all kind of players that are going to be able to be on Sundays. Or playing on Sundays. You got 2 first-round caliber tackles. You got Kyron Lacey, who's catching damn near 100 yards in the first half and like 14, 15 minutes of play. Mason Taylor is probably arguably a first-round talent. Garrett Nussmeier is definitely going to be starting on someone's NFL team here in the near future. My point being is that USC's defense almost did the impossible. I mean, I don't think many people were expecting LSU to score 20 points through 4 quarters, especially with how many times they were able to get in the red zone, get near a scoring opportunity, and really, just get close to the moment in general. It's heartbreaking. It's a tough loss. We don't want it to happen, obviously, but just it can only go up from here. I think we're going to go on a 4-game run. If you drop one in these next 4, that might be a nail in the coffin. I'll be real. That's my realistic take. My optimistic take is you get to go to 4-1, you get the bye week, everyone gets healthy, you run into Ole Miss with momentum, and you punch them straight in the mouth. And then, boom, you're back into the conversation. We'll see how it plays out. We'll be here covering it, of course. Friday, our show will be at 5 p.m. We got some things that we're doing with the women's basketball team, so we're going to have to kind of, put that one more toward the afternoon. But as of right now, we might have a special guest joining. I don't want to name it yet. It's not a player. It's going to be a fellow media member. We got some stuff coming. We're going to have him phone in to the show, and we'll give you a Nichols breakdown, Nichols preview, if you will, and our top 3 picks of the week will be on Friday. And I know, look, not everybody likes gambling. Not everybody likes, trying to predict. It's really hard to predict games, quite frankly. I mean, it's rough. Look at College Game Day the other day. We were scrutinizing Pat McAfee. Oh, he's the only one that didn't pick LSU. Guess what? Pat McAfee was also the only one that picked the damn game right. So shout out Pat McAfee, because I wouldn't have got that one right. So like I said, predicting games is hard, but we did pretty good at it last Friday. 3 for 3 in the top 3 picks of the week. I got to harp on it because we're undefeated right now with that segment. We don't know how much longer we're going to stay undefeated with it. So I gotta wear the strap when I can. Real quick before I hop out, my guys are Happy Dad. They've been coming in clutch, supporting the guys. Appreciate all the support from you. You know where to get them. Albertsons, Rouse's, Walmart, the best tasting hard seltzer with electrolytes. You're sweating, you're hot, you need a nice refreshing hard seltzer, gluten-free, low in sugar, no artificial flavors. You know where to go. Like we said, Rouse's, Walmart, Albertsons, we got a link in the bio with a discount code, Verdin15, get you 15% off your merch, all this different type of stuff. We're kind of scheming. Like I said, we're trying to get some merch for you. I'm about to make some phone calls. We're going to get a little giveaway segment. I might do some type of trivia. I'm going to make y'all earn it. We ain't just giving no freebies out. You're going to have to either answer a question right, or, I don't know, maybe we'll do a score prediction. Whoever's closest gets it. Y'all comment in the chat what y'all think. But I appreciate everybody for flexing with me while I call an audible. We were on the road. We're back in school, back in the grind, so to speak. I mean, we're back. We're ready. Nichols on Saturday. Damn, hometown college. I'm from South Louisiana. It's about 30 minutes from the old stomping ground. So it'll be interesting to see some of the fellas come in. I hate to say it, but I'd love to see them get murked. I want a 60 ball. But appreciate everybody for tuning in. Going to be live at 5 on Friday, but every other day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 p.m., the Verdin Verdict. Sports Talk on the Go. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin. Y'all have a great night. Go Tigers.